Ladies and gentlemen, and friends of Southwest Solutions, please take this time and helping me welcome to the stage President and CEO of Southwest Solutions, Sean DeFore.
Good evening, everyone. I feel like I should have chose some better entrance music, like those wrestlers on my way in. It's so great to be here with all of you. I see so many friends and colleagues and supporters out in the audience. It's just wonderful to be here for the first time for an in-person event, face-to-face. We haven't had one of these since 2018, so it's thrilling to be with you. And I couldn't think of a better group of people that I want to spend time with. I know you could be in the casino, winning big at blackjack or slots, but instead you're choosing to be here with us, celebrating the impact that we make and supporting the important work that we do. So thank you, and I'll continue to thank you throughout the evening. I know it's fun to get dressed up for a fancy night like this, and let me just say, all of you look absolutely beautiful. I don't know about you, the COVID weight made the suit a little bit tight, but I see everybody fitting perfectly into the outfits that they chose. But you all look great. But on a serious note, despite the fun of dressing up and coming to a gala, the truth is you're here because of the 14,000 some odd people that Southwest Solutions helps every year. And I just want to share, some examples of a couple of folks I've met in my first year here as president and CEO that remind me of the impact that your being here makes. Folks like Diana, who I met, who was a single mom, struggling to control her anxiety and depression because she wanted to be the best mom she could for her kids, all while she's struggling to hold down multiple jobs to support her family because it's hard to get a good paying full-time job without a high school diploma. Your being here helps folks like Diana. Or Carl, who is a veteran, an Army veteran who served our country and now finds himself homeless, wondering where he's gonna sleep or where his next meal is gonna come from, and wondering why the country that he gave so much to has turned its back on him. Your being here makes it possible for us to support families like Diana's and heroes like Carl, and thousands of others like them whose lives we work to improve, make stable, help them find success, and live their full potential despite the odds that are stacked against them. You help those in need realize that when things seem dark and dreary and cold, that hope is just around the corner. And that's why tonight is a celebration. It's a celebration of your spirit of giving. It's a celebration of the impact that our organization has in the community, that we're able to accomplish because of you. And it celebrates your taking a moment to be here to support your neighbors so that they can live their lives in full color. And for that, I want you to give yourselves a round of applause for coming out tonight to support us. So we are going to have lots of fun tonight. We've got a great auctioneer, Scott. We've got a chance to win a trip to Mexico. You're going to hear some inspiring stories from folks that have been impacted by Southwest Solutions and our staff. We're going to celebrate 3 special people who have made a really significant impact in Detroit. We're going to dance, not me, but you. We're going to eat eventually around 8 o'clock, and we're going to drink. So please enjoy that. So 2 of our awardees we're going to present during dinner, but one of our special guests had a very important conflict, but was kind enough to rearrange their schedule so they could be with us at the beginning of the night for us to give them their award. So we're going to start with them. And we are incredibly grateful that they were able to join us so we could give them their honors a little bit early. So each year at this celebration, we recognize outstanding individuals who've had an impact in their community, particularly who've made an impact in Detroit through their service to others. And this evening, we'll be honoring those individuals with the Clement Kern Award for Social Impact. The honor is named after one of Southwest Solutions' founders, Monsignor Clement Kern, who was the pastor of Most Holy Trinity Church located in Corktown, not far from our head office. And he was known as the conscience of Detroit because of his passionate commitment to social justice and helping the poor and disenfranchised. So this evening, we're pleased to present the first Clement Kern Award for Social Impact to someone who's championed with that same spirit on the national stage. Some of you may have seen her in the lobby, our own Senator Debbie Stabenow. And Senator Stabenow, yep, absolutely. Now, many of us know Senator Stabenow's myriad accomplishments, but I'll just name a few. She's dedicated her life to serving others every single day in Washington, D.C., as chair of the Democratic Policy and Communications Committee. She makes sure that there's a Michigan voice at the table and that Congress's priorities stay in line with the priorities of middle-class families. Senator Stabenow is a national leader of the effort to make sure people have quality, affordable health care, including prescription drugs, mental health, and addiction treatment. She's committed to bringing veterans the care they need close to home, and she led the fight to expand and open new VA centers and outreach centers for our heroes. In addition to all those accomplishments, she's a true champion for Southwest Solutions and those that we serve. She's attended ribbon cuttings of our facilities over the past 10 years or so, and most recently, she championed the funding that allowed us to open our Certified Community Behavioral Health Center, which you'll hear more about later this evening. Not only has she been there for us and for Detroit and for Michigan, but we know that she will continue to be. She has a true heart for service, and we're blessed to know her and call her a friend. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Senator Debbie Stabenow to the stage to accept the first Clement Kern Award for Social Impact.
Well, good evening. What a wonderful evening. What a wonderful celebration. And thank you, Sean. And I want to see you dance, actually. I think we should all look for that, actually. So, but it's a real honor for me to receive this recognition. It means a lot because Southwest Solutions is an organization that I care deeply about and have great confidence in, frankly. And I also want to say congratulations to Dan Gilbert, who's done so much for Detroit, and Bill Moldwin, whose family's here. I've had a chance to meet members of the family. It's very exciting to see people coming in, not only from Michigan, but other places as well, to celebrate with Bill this evening. So it's a real honor to be receiving the Clement Kern Award for Social Impact with them. And I thank you so much. You know, your mental health clinic, and as Sean was mentioning, I have a very strong passion for quality community mental health services. We should be treating healthcare above the neck the same as healthcare below the neck. And we need to make sure we have comprehensive services and full funding for those services that don't stop and start like grants traditionally do. But your mental health clinic was one of the very first places I visited in person last year after the pandemic, of course with a mask on. But I chose your clinic because of your deep commitment to the community and a legacy you have carried on from your founder. Monsignor Kern was once described like this: Clem Kern believed in God and the poor. He built up the dignity of a frail people. When no one else seemed to be there, Clem Kern took up the cause. And that's what you do. And today, when no one seems to be there, Southwest Solutions, the people in this room, are there. And you should feel really good about that. Really proud to be part of an organization that has a history of values and commitment and is continuing on to today. So you're there for the young mom fighting mental health challenges, helping her to heal so she can raise her family. You're there for the homeless veteran, helping him reclaim the dignity that he deserves. You're there for the family who has stumbled into hard times and needs a little help to stay out of foreclosure and remain in their beloved neighborhood. You're there for the entrepreneur who has a great idea for a business but just needs a roadmap on how to get there. And you're there for the dad who never learned to read but wants more than anything else to share a bedtime story with his sons. You're there. Everyone in this room is there. And through the simple act of being there, you're making life-changing differences for people in Detroit every day. What could be better than that? So thank you very much for this recognition. It means so much to me, and importantly, what means so much to me as well is being your partner every day. Thank you.
One more round of applause for Senator Debbie Stabenow. Now, we have a lot more fun planned for the evening. Of course, we have our live auction, the dinner and dancing that's coming, but I did want to take a moment and just share a couple thoughts as I celebrate surviving my first year here at Southwest Solutions as President and CEO. And I was actually reminded by Pastor Moldwin earlier that I think I'm the third CEO in the 52-year history of Southwest Solutions, which I think says something about how compelling this mission is, that people don't ever want to leave it. But since joining Southwest Solutions, I think what's inspired me most is the way our organization embraces the complexity and messiness of being in the helping profession and the helping business. We understand, and the staff at Southwest Solutions understand every day that even though people might be sent to us because of one problem, they don't come to us with just one problem. And it is on us to offer more than just one simple solution, because we know that it's only in supporting people in a holistic way that we create really long-lasting and significant change in people's lives. And I think that's part of why we do so much, from mental health counseling and addiction treatment to building affordable housing, from offering job training and GED preparation to financial coaching, from working with veterans who are experiencing homelessness to working with families who are afraid that they might find themselves homeless because they're looking at a foreclosure on the home that they have called home for more than 20 years. None of that work that we do, and it's a lot, would be possible without the generosity and commitment of people like you. And for over 52 years, it amazes me that people have woken up every day under the banner of Southwest Solutions and come into work to try to make lives better for their neighbors. And with your support, and God willing, we can look forward to another 52 years of doing the same. And no amount of thank yous could ever fully express the gratitude that I have and our staff have for your support to allow us to do that every day. So before I go any further and before we turn it over to the auctioneer, I do want to recognize a few special people in the room, just to give them my thanks. And I'd like to start with anybody who is a veteran who's in the crowd. If you wouldn't mind standing up, if you've served our country as a veteran, let's give them a hand, and I want to thank you personally for your service. Thank you. We also have a number of our board of directors in attendance, and I can't thank these folks enough. They volunteer their time selflessly for an endless number of seemingly endless meetings that I torture them with to support our mission and help us stay on the right track and hold us accountable to make the greatest impact we can for every dollar that's invested in our organization. And so if you're a member of our board of directors and if you're here tonight, if you could just stand up so we could give you an applause and recognize you. Thank you. Thank you. Staff and volunteers, and you can imagine what it takes to put on a night like this. It's months and months of work and preparation behind the scenes, and we couldn't make it possible without those staff and those volunteers. So if you're a staff member or a volunteer, or if you were voluntold by Laura to come and work tonight, if you could just stand up so we could recognize you and say thanks, please. Thank you. And I especially want to recognize our extraordinary development team. We had join us in April of this year, just a dynamite director of our development department, Laura LeBlanc, who's shining like a disco ball in the back corner over there. I want to start with her and her team, Bindi, Emily, and Jennifer. If you're here, if you could just stand or wave so people know who you are. Please, this is the greatest team I've ever worked with, and they've just done a great job putting together this event, so thank you. And then finally, I just want to say one final thank you to all of you for being here. I know there are lots of different places you could be tonight, and choosing to be here to support us in the way you have really means a lot to me personally. It means a lot to our organization. It means a lot to the 14,000 people that we serve in the city of Detroit. So give yourself a round of applause. Thank you for being here. So I'm going to shut up now and move to the live auction. But before we do that, I just want to share a short video. Oh, that's me up there. I thought that was somebody else. We have a short video that's going to lead us into a special giving moment where you'll have an opportunity to change the lives of individuals like those who are in the room.
I lived out on the streets. God, I dislocated myself from my family members. I dislocated myself from everyone because I was drinking. I found a couple of refrigerator boxes, which make excellent homes, by the way. And so I took the refrigerator boxes and I put two of them together and flipped one down, and that became the floor area. And I lived in the box, the refrigerator box, and out of there for about, maybe 6 years. So I ended up going down to the VA hospital, and they told me I was eligible through the help of the VA to come to Pequot Square, where you had to go through a waiting list and all that. And when I got here, I had a bag, and they took all my clothing out and put it on a big white cloth, and they said, "We're gonna wash all your clothes." And we noticed that right there in that bag, you're looking kind of close because you pulled it and you don't want anybody to touch it. And he said to me, "I bet you there's liquor in there." And I said, "How you know?" He said, "Because I'm recovering myself." And he just asked me one question: "Are you willing to quit? We can give you the help that you need." After serving in the Army, I started drinking. I was drinking 2.5 gallons of Jack Daniels. I had Jack in one hand and Daniels in the other. Don't do it because it's not good. I had to make the choice of changing my life, and I got tired of just losing everything I had. I said, okay. And it's not as easy as I'm talking about now. I had my struggles, my withdrawals. Withdrawal from alcohol is just like withdrawing from heroin. Southwest Solutions helped me get my life together. I actually stopped drinking because of them. And Southwest Solutions showed me the responsibility of maintaining a home, of my own. I've turned my whole life around 100%. I look at the past, but every day I wake up, I look at the future and looking to go ahead, and forward to give the blessing to someone else, especially a veteran that actually needs it. That's United Council Councils. That's Dan Rather's cooking class up top. And these are two ladies from the Olympic Hospital. Along with the help of Southwest Solutions and the VA hospital, my life has been successful and I'm able to go forward, and I have the people in the building respect me for that, and they come and knock on my door constantly. I keep my door open 24/7 to assist the next individual. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to tell you that Mr. Marcus Cobb is here with us tonight. Would you please stand? Marcus's spirit is what Southwest Solutions is all about. Never giving up, always trying harder, always seeing the potential for a better tomorrow. Thank you, Marcus. Now, if you could welcome Takisa to the stage.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Takisa, and I'm here tonight to share my story. Okay. And as tough as it might be, I am honored to be able to stand here and thank those who have supported me in my journey, whether or not you know it. You see, I had shown up to work every single day like most of you here for 17 years, day in and day out, no matter how I felt, and I did good work. I did great work. But after years of work, over 17 years, I was never eligible to move up and kept away from promotions and raises because of one thing. I had never graduated high school. During the pandemic, it felt like the world might end. So many of us were lost and didn't know what to expect. I knew if I was gonna make it through, I had to find a way to a different life. I was awarded the Future for Frontliners grant during the pandemic and got to work searching for a way to get my GED. That's when I found Southwest Solutions, and everything began to change. I enrolled in classes in November of 2021, but working my full-time job while going back to school wasn't easy, and my job wasn't making it easier with my schedule. When I was unable to make my scheduled classes, my teacher reached out to me, and offered me private lessons to ensure I learned the materials. I was even given support to make sure I could focus during tests so I can make sure to hit necessary benchmarks. At every turn, while it felt like the world was against me, Southwest Solutions had my back, and they were making sure I didn't give up on myself, because I was really going to give up on myself. They believed in me. Now I stand before you today with my GED. I was able to interview, thank you. I was able to interview for a promotion, and I am making the most money I have ever made in my life. Thank you. Southwest Solutions believed in me, even at times when I didn't believe in myself. They renewed my love for education, and I am so excited to tell you today that I was awarded a 2-year scholarship and you are looking at the newest college students of 2022. Thank you. Thank you for everything you've done, and thank you for being here tonight. Thank you.
Okay, good evening again, everyone. I hate to interrupt this delicious dinner, but we do have 2 more awards that we want to give out tonight. If I could have all your time. Clap once if you hear me. Clap 2 times if you hear me. Clap 3 times if you hear me. Thank you. Okay, so I hope you're all enjoying your dinner so far. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the love and support that you showed during that auction. The generosity was just contagious. I spent a lot more than I expected, as I imagine some of you may have as well. But when it's for a good cause, it's worth it. And when I think about stories like Marcus's and the number of people that he will help because of the support that we've given to him, I know that every dollar that was raised tonight is going to go to just doing amazing things in our community. So thank you. So at this time, I do want to continue with the presentation of the remaining 2 Clement Kern Awards for social impact. And this year, we are extremely honored to have the privilege to give the next award to someone who has always been on the front lines of service in our community right here in Southwest Detroit. And that is Pastor Bill Moldwin, one of our other founders at Southwest Solutions. William Moldwin, also known as Bill, dedicated his life to serving as a social worker, community organizer, and pastor. He earned his MBA so he could read billing statements and learn to write grants so he could obtain the funds necessary to start Southwest Solutions almost 50 years ago, or just over 50 years ago. And without him, I can safely say that we would not be here today. Bill is a true visionary and an advocate for social justice. He was always a leader when it came to filling the gaps in the community and providing crucial services to those who were often looked past or looked over. He obtained the first grant for Southwest Solutions. He built the governing board, and he ended up serving as the 2nd chair for the board in our history. He helped design and fund the first crisis center in Southwest Detroit, which Southwest Solutions was Southwest Crisis Center before it was Southwest Solutions when it was first founded. And he often recounts tales of working with colleagues of all different races and partners like the late Jimmy Hoffa, although he doesn't know where he is buried. Spearheading change, Bill also helped to create the first public health center located in a public school, and even organized a Lutheran congregation in 1973 with over 300 congregants. His focus on housing, health, and mental health continues to guide Southwest Solutions today, and we could not be more grateful to have such an impactful leader who was a significant and major part of our founding. It's my honor to present this 2nd Clement Kern Award to you, Bill. Could you please join me on stage to accept? Pastor Bill Moldwin.
The lights are bright. I was greeted warmly when I came in by a guard in a yellow uniform, and he said, "Father, what are you doing here?" And I chatted with him for a minute, and he was shocked. I said, "I'm with Southwest Solutions. Never heard of them." I tried again. Another woman asked me, "Father, glad to have you in the casino. What's your game?" I said, "Roulette." And she looked at me And I said, I'm kidding. And she said, I thought you were serious. But anyway, Sean shared some of my thunder tonight in the remarks that I was at to ask. People have asked me, what was the motivation to move as a pastor, as a organized community organizer by Saul Alinsky in Chicago, which meant going to the streets of Chicago without any money for 4 days and rubbing raw the problems of the neighborhoods in which I stayed. And then I had to get an MBA, and I became a social worker, as he said, to read financial statements. But the first thing I need to do is what heart was in this work with me? My spouse and wife of 62 years, Sally Moldwin. And he mentioned I wrote grants. I have to acknowledge three people. Regina Larkin, met her on the streets of 12th Street. She was a nun who came back from 20 years in Bolivia and had no medical health. So we helped her get her knees back together and become a writer, a grant writer. And through that episode with her, I met a social worker, Mary Maloney, and Mary and Regina and I spent a week at a cottage in Port Huron understanding the 1970 sex census. And then John Van Camp used another woman who's not here, who's dead also, Alma Chand. So in thinking of those grant writers, I really heavily depended on women. So I want to say 2 vignettes. Thank you. 2 vignettes, a couple of stories that really moved me to work in I'm doing. The first vignette is simply, I've learned to trust women. The second vignette is, they taught me not to agonize, but to organize. And here are the examples. I became a pastor and a community organizer in 1960 and was moved, and I wrote a pamphlet and a film strip on this, if you can believe that, on the romance of ringing doorbells. I rang 300 to 500 a year and topped out 800 on several years of visitations in neighborhoods. And that's the key, getting to know the needs assessments, the people that live there. And some of the examples, several of them, white women, both in the city of Detroit, shooed me off their deck with a pistol in their apron. Black women invited me into tea and coffee and wondering what a white kid was doing on 12th Street. So again, with those, the first one, in '63, I felt compelled to march with Martin Luther King in Detroit. It was Jerome, the mayor at the time. It wasn't Coleman Young. He was the president when we got the grant in 1962, and more on that later. In 1962, remember, we had about a $12–15 million grant with the Secretary of HEW. We had to get a letter from him. And we also got a letter from the National Institute of Mental Health, and Bertrand Brown was the chief psychiatrist at that time, and he signed off on our unique community mental health center. And Bert Brown died, and tonight I'm pleased that his sister is here tonight to really accept this award with me, because he signed off on the $12 million grant that we applied for in 71 and 72 and 74. So could you stand up? Harriet Saperstein. So walking down the street in 1963, again, there was one woman who walked through her shoes and cut her toes with the nylons running and bleeding. And so I was ending up at the end of the parade. And when we got her bandaged up, we went up ahead and we met Martin Luther King Jr. For a woman to give her blood on the streets of Detroit, for me, was a miracle. And so again, at that 63 march, he said more than my kids play with his kids. He talked about voting rights. That's what I remember. In 63, no voting rights, no civil rights, no housing rights. And so I went to Washington, D.C. in August of 63 in my collar, and as I walked to the reflection pool, I moved with a yellow school bus from Talladega, Alabama, and poured out women, children, and a few men. And these folks, all black, invited me to have lunch with them. And I still remember this. They knew who everyone on the podium was, and I did not. I said, geez, I know, I'm sure I remember the anthem by Mahalia Jackson, and what I wrote down about her is that she sang a song called I've Been Scorned, and I have that note. And then there was another woman with epaulets on her shoulders. And I said to this women and men and children, who's the woman with the epaulets? And they said, don't you know? She's the jazz singer. Do you know who it is? Josephine Baker, who left this country in the 20s, and you know why. And she became a part of the French resistance and earned her epaulets. And then to make a fool out of me, I said, who's the other woman behind Martin Luther King? People don't know these stories. They said, you don't know her either? I said, no, she's Daisy Bates. She heads up the NAACP in Arkansas. She's a lecturer. She's written books. You don't know her? And I said, what is it about Daisy Bates that you remember? She was raped and murdered by the KKK in Arkansas, and she's my hero. In 1963, in August, I was humbled by women again and again. Fast forward, we moved to Detroit in 1969. My wife and our 3 elementary school kids downtown. In my background, I wanted to know what this funding was like, so we put together 3 or 4 grants. My salary for 3 years, I needed money, and I wrote some grants, and we bought 3 apartments, 9 residents, and we bought 2 blocks on 12th Street. So that's how I started with our kids at the elementary school, Whitney Rung, and Cass Tech, all 3. And indeed, I'd say that's the best education they've had, Detroit Public Schools. And so I was interested I think you know me a little bit. I got to know the principals, the Charles Wolf, the superintendent, and they had regional superintendents. And I remember Jessie Kennedy, our superintendent, she and I sort of connected together, and she was new, and she said to me after a luncheon, I said, let's go out for lunch. We went to Rathskeller up at John R. and the Boulevard, and she said, I'm a newbie. She said, if you put any egg on my face with your writing, and I'll come after you. So we had some simpatico, and I said, what can I help you with? She said, the rate of absenteeism in our area is the lowest in the city. So we put together a grant to the Ford Foundation, and we put in the first public health center at Pelham Middle School, and it cut it down from 40% to 4%. And the grantee, the Ford Foundation, made one demand of me. One, you have to employ Ford Hospital staff. I said, where do I sign? We had a community board. I was the only white face there, other than my wife. And they said, we want you in writing to stay for at least 3 years. And I said, wife, Maurice Beauregard, the executive, said, why do you want him to stay for 3 years? And they said, all of our data from the Boston Consulting Group says if you don't have some leadership, which you have now with Sean, programs flag and fail. And so the board said, what are you going to do? And I said, you got me for 3 years. I'm here for the duration. So we spent 28 years in downtown Detroit and loved every minute of it. So that's the first vignette, if you can believe that, why I trust women, and what they all taught me, and all these people, and you've taught me too, that indeed it's better to organize than agonize. And I organized the black congregation, as Sean said, and the first funeral I had was Sonia Smith's husband, Eddie Smith. He worked for the Detroit Ironton Toledo Railroad, and he was killed in coupling the cars in southwest Detroit. And Sonia had 9 children coming from the south, had no Medicaid, Medicare, no insurance for funeral services, and we tried to step up. And as I got to know Sonia, and she helped with the first board at Fort Southwest Solutions, she served chili and jelly sandwiches, she made jello, and she kept saying, what else can I do? But what I remembered, as I got to know her, I said, you have 9 kids, Sonia. I could never manage 9 kids. How do you manage 9 kids? The quote says, no problem, Pastor. She said, you love the one that needs you the most. How's that for a nugget? So she said, I'll help you organize. And I said, how are you going to do that for weighing 9 kids? And I had gotten to know a few other people in the community, some doctors, black doctors at Boulevard General, and I went up to them to see for medical help for the kids. And so I was invited to preach in a congregation in Detroit, and I told them that story about Sonia. And a member stopped up and said, Moldwin, if you raise 10, I'll match it with 10. So I called a friend of mine, a broker, Ben Matthew, who's now dead. He said, I'll manage your 9 apartments if you give me the business. So I said, find a house for Sonia Smith with 9 kids. And he laughed. He found a house in 63 across from an elementary school for $28,000 with 5 bedrooms. The grandkids are still living there, paying the mortgage, and they're not in enclosure as over 3,000 families are in Detroit today. One story. I can't emphasize this enough. Trust women, let your mind roam, and don't agonize, don't schlept about it, as Harriet would say. Don't grumble about it, don't moan about it, do something. Be active about it. In fact, to a grant, we finally got the data together, and we submitted the grant in 1972 for about $12 million from HEW, and that was Caspar Weinberger. He had to sign off. Then he resigned. And then we had Elliot Richardson. As I said, we signed off with Bert Brown. And guess what? In '64, Nixon impounded our grant. It was the first one submitted to HEW. Keep that to remind. And Nixon didn't know a thing about mental illness, and he said it's too, quote, inflationary. So 3 of us who were trying to organize some mental health centers, one in Maryland, one in here, 6 of us went into Washington. Regina Larkin had none, babysat for our kids. My wife and I spent a week. We went into we sued Nixon and went to an court in Alexandria, Virginia, circuit court, and the judge threw out our case. He said, I'll rule on it myself, and he told Caspar Weinberger to get off the grant. We got the money. Unbelievable. So remember what, in '63, this is my mental map. JFK was assassinated, so LBJ pushed for the, Civil Rights Act of '64, and then pushed for the voting rights of '65. And the Community Mental Health Center didn't get any money from the till '68 or '69, and we got our grant in '62. Probably the first grant in the United States for Southwest Solutions. So, to conclude, I can't thank the people who were behind the scenes. I had people, a doctor stood up, matched $10. A broker stood up, said, I'll do what you need. If you remember the Red Wings, our kids remember this, the Red Wings were on Grand River, and I practiced my previous parish experience by calling on 800 families a year for 5 years in Detroit. That's where boards came, and I met the CPO of the Red Wings. I tried to meet the president, the owner, and he referred me to a CPA, and he became the first CPA who managed our books, free, thanks to the Red Wings, for 2 years until we got a legal opinion from a large law firm in Detroit. Many of these people behind the scenes, provides audits, are now dead. So I'm still a fossil of a younger year. So probably, just to conclude, remember those 3 maxims that really stirred me to trust women. Don't groan and moan. Don't agonize. And so therefore, how do you steel a steel will or forge a steel will to keep that momentum going? And I'm confident that Sean is the 3rd one in 50 years to organize this organization. has the capable to do that. My kids remind me, what will the great-great-grandkids think of your portrait? How's that for a question for you to leave tonight? Thank you very much.
Thank you again, Pastor Moldwin. Another hand for Bill. And just, I mean, what awesome history, but also what awesome impact to think about 14,000 people that we serve a year and the number of years that we've served, the last 50, the kind of change that has rippled because of what you did 50 years ago, Bill. Just incredible. A life well lived. Thank you. So to close out our evening, we have our final award for someone who has dedicated their life to service, someone we all know, and someone who most recently made a one-of-a-kind pledge to serving Detroit. Dan Gilbert and his wife Jennifer are many things as well as being philanthropists. They're trailblazers and they're true stewards of change, especially in this city. And most recently, they shocked the world with one of the largest pledges in history, committing $500 million to the city of Detroit. Just amazing, absolutely incredible. Dan Gilbert's a visionary in many businesses in many ways, but he's also passionate about things that match the work that we do at Southwest Solutions: housing stability, economic mobility, and sponsoring the local community. He and his wife have also founded the Gilbert Family Foundation, which is working to find a cure for neurofibromatosis, an illness that their family continues to fight against each day on behalf of their son. We are lucky in Detroit to have someone like Dan Gilbert in our corner who calls the city home, and we're thankful for the Rocket Community Fund who supports the city on their behalf as well. And so we've chosen to honor Dan Gilbert and his family, and tonight to accept the award on his behalf, we welcome Laura Grannemann to the stage. Laura? Oh, thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. What an incredible evening. Obviously, unfortunately, I am not Dan. Dan wishes that he could be here with us all this evening, but had a prior family commitment. And I just wanted to say a few words on his behalf about the importance of the work that we're celebrating and honoring here, as well as the commitment that Dan has made to the city of Detroit. First of all, I'd like to thank Sean and the entire Southwest Solutions team. It takes a real village to put together an event like this, and an event like this is really just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the incredible work that Southwest Solutions does. So thank you so much for all that you do every day, and tonight in particular. For anyone who knows Dan, you know that he lives by core cultural values. He calls them isms. And they really are applicable to both his personal life and his work life and the way that he commits to the community. The one ism that particularly comes to mind when I think about his work in the city of Detroit and the work that he's done for many decades is obsessed with finding a better way. For about 35 years, Dan has been obsessed with finding a better way to create and build a company, rocket companies now today. But about 10 years ago, a little more than 10 years ago, we moved down to the city of Detroit from the suburbs and established our business here in the city. We moved with about 1,700 team members, I believe, in 2010. And today that number has grown to about 18,000 team members. As soon as he moved down to the city of Detroit, though, he knew that the impact of our business was not just in jobs, people that we could hire and could fuel the impact of the business. It was also in how we could show up to create better systems for our community. And in fact, one of the first investments that Dan made in coming down to the city of Detroit was to Paquette Square. I had the honor of meeting and working with Marcus a couple of years ago. He's an incredible representation of the work of Paquette Square and the importance and power of permanent supportive housing. Dan believes that every American should have access to safe and stable housing, and it starts right here in our hometown. So this commitment and partnership was really powerful. I unfortunately can't speak directly on behalf of Dan, but I can tell you from my own experience working with Dan and really feeling the way that he is obsessed with finding a better way is a pretty empowering thing to think. It's a pretty empowering mental mindset shift because you don't have to accept the norm. You don't have to just accept that people experience homelessness or that stable housing isn't a reality for everyone. And I know that Southwest Solutions shares that belief as well. So again, thank you so much for all that you do. We are honored to be a part of the Southwest Solutions family, and we look forward to continuing to grow our partnership over the many years to come as a part of this important $500 million commitment to the city of Detroit. Thank you so much.
Thank you again, Laura. Okay, so you're probably sick of me at this point of the evening, so I'm going to get off stage. But before I do that, just to close us out, I want to welcome our Executive Director of Philanthropy and Communications, the person who, behind the scenes, organized all of this and put this together to close us out. Please welcome to the stage, Laura LeBlanc.
Congratulations, and thank you again to our Clement Kern Award for Social Impact honorees. We are so grateful to Senator Stabenow, William Moldwin, of course, and Laura Graniman for being here on Dan Gilbert's behalf. I would like to remind everyone that checkout is going to reopen in just a moment, and I appreciate your patience while we close just for the awards. And also, we'll have the after party beginning, and we're going to have a pizza bar. So I know dessert is starting, but there will be plenty of things to soak up the alcohol, so don't be afraid to drink. Also, I want to thank you one last time for being with us here tonight. I'm honored to let you know the final number. Can I get a drum roll for how much we raised tonight? We raised $446,463. Thank you so much for your support. We hope you have a wonderful evening, and I will see you at checkout.